People fear what they do not understand. But when people come to a better understanding, that fear begins to disintegrate. Now, Haarp, like CERN and Frankenstein, is one of those things that probably should not have been created. Like CERN, Haarp is the result of Nikola Tesla's technology. Now, if you didn't know, Tesla was known for having visions of his designs, and it is said that those visions came from the other side. So let me take you back. In 1884, Tesla sailed to New York City, where he went to work for Thomas Edison. He offered Tesla a great deal of money to improve upon the designs of his direct current or DC motors. And Tesla did just that. But Edison stiffed him, so Tesla quit. He then went to work for the Western Union Company, developing AC or alternating current power systems. The motors I built there, Tesla said, were exactly as I imagined them. I made no attempt to improve the design, but merely reproduced the pictures as they appeared to my vision. And the operation was always as I expected. Now, after Tesla was able to develop his Tesla coils, he wanted to work on his ideas for wireless transmission, and so he hooked up with J.P. Morgan, who would put up the money to build Wardenclyffe Tower in 1901, a giant transmission tower based on Tesla's idea of a wireless planet. As soon as completed, it would be possible for a businessman in New York to dictate instructions and have them instantly appear and type at his office in London or elsewhere. He will be able to call up from his desk and talk to any telephone subscriber on the globe without any change whatever in the existing equipment. An inexpensive instrument, not bigger than a watch, will enable its bearer to hear anywhere on sea or land, music or song, the speech of a political leader, the address of an eminent man of science, or the sermon of an eloquent clergyman, delivered in some other place, however distant. In the same manner, any picture, character, drawing, or print can be transferred from one to another place. Millions of such instruments can be operated from but one plant of this kind. Now let's fast forward to around the early 1990s. The Atlantic Richfield Company, or ARCO, an American oil company, needed to sell gas out of Alaska, and so they financed the project concept of Bernard Eastlund, an American physicist and patent author, who would create 23 U.S. patents, one of those patents being based on the work of Tesla, a 40-square-mile radio transmitter that used Alaskan natural gas to power its generators. And so the U.S. Air Force and Navy got together with the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, BAE Advanced Technologies, and the University of Alaska Fairbanks to give birth to Haarp. Now that right there tells you that Haarp was in fact intended for military defense and research purposes. They wanted to develop advanced defense and weapons technologies. That's just what the military does. That's what they are supposed to do. Make weapons, protect the borders.
These service personnel, playing the role of an unruly mob at Georgia's Moody Air Force Base, are about to fall prey to an invisible ray. The hulking panel atop this Humvee is part of what the U.S. military calls the Active Denial System, or ADS. It's designed to incapacitate enemy combatants with an unnerving, non-lethal sensation of intense heat. Watch as the ray silently strikes and scatters the crowd.
But even before Haarp's completion in 1994, and after, they have been under pressure from environmentalist and conservation organizations from every angle, with concerns about the safety of the program. Because back then and even now, the scientists there have admitted that they do not fully understand the consequences to using such technology. And so their logic was, well, if we want to find out the impact this will have on the planet, we are going to need to experiment on the planet. Now, Haarp, of course, is just the name of the program. The machine that everyone is familiar with is known as the IRI, the Ionospheric Research Instrument, which is detailed in Haarp's Environmental Impact Statement. An excerpt of this can be easily found on the University of Alaska Fairbanks Geophysical Institute website. The IRI consists of 180 cross-dipole antennas, arranged in a grid pattern of 12 rows and 15 columns, with all the low-frequency antennas stacked above all the high-frequency antennas. Each antenna is supported by a 66-foot mast mounted on a 4-foot steel base, with a distance of 80 feet between each antenna. The entire IRI antenna field, including the perimeter fencing, occupies 35 acres of land. Now, the low-frequency antennas transmits 3.2 megawatts of energy in a frequency range of 2.8 to 7.6 megahertz. The high-frequency antennas also transmit 3.2 megawatts of energy, but in a frequency range of 7.3 to 10 megahertz. And what they do is they focus these transmissions into the ionosphere, heating it up. It's like using a microwave oven with no door, so all that energy is directed out to wherever you point the microwave. At the same time, they can use the high concentration of ions and free electrons in the ionosphere to reflect radio waves. So what happens is they create these virtual reflectors or mirrors in the ionosphere. So what happens is they create these virtual reflectors or mirrors in the ionosphere to basically send these transmissions to anywhere on the planet. When they do this, it gives them several capabilities. They can take these radio waves, aim them at the ground, and then read the frequencies that bounce back, a kind of ultrasound. It can tell them what elements are in the ground, as well as if there are any tunnels or hidden missile silos. Ground penetrating radar that can see animals, birds, and groups of insects even. They can use the charging of the ionosphere to act as a global shield. And the idea is, if a missile were launched and it entered the section of the ionosphere that was charged, the intensity of the energy would cause the missile to explode midair. They can even detect stealth aircraft, that which of course is not visible by normal radar, but by Haarp technology. Pretty cool, right? Well, they also discovered that they could manipulate weather. They could push storm systems in certain directions. They could excite a storm system and place that over the enemy to cripple them. They can send lightning. With enough power, they can even pump these transmissions into the ground, creating such violent vibrations that they cause earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Which brings us to what's happening today.
Venite, Beteta.
A lot of things happening underground lately. We have this new report after a couple of giant sinkholes suddenly appeared and completely drained this massive lagoon in Mexico, leaving all of the fish and crocodiles and life in the lagoon to perish. This and the fact that the entire ordeal has frightened the local population.
We've got this nut over in North Korea, a country smaller than New York State, completely surrounded by opposition, pushing buttons threatening people. Threatening the very same people who own and operate these Haarp-like machines. So why don't they use these machines on this guy? Well, maybe they have. They did deploy the Navy's SBX-1 mobile sea-based radar weather weapon back in 2013 near North Korea. So maybe this is why they seem to not be too overly concerned about what this madman can do. Now the question on everyone's mind lately is Haarp the cause of all the strange and devastating weather phenomena?
I'm the Attorney General and Environmental Program Manager for the Upper Cook Inlet Environmental Protection Consortium. And we've been working on Haarp for many years. And they've located Haarp at Gakona because of the magnetosphere is closest to the surface of the Earth. And they need that magnetic pole to do their shots into the ionosphere and stratosphere. With Haarp and however long it's been on the drawing board, the people here haven't known about it that long. And it changed from one thing to another. And what a lot of people are not aware of is it's ground-based Star Wars technology. And the United States Congress has said that they quit funding Star Wars. So they call it everything else but Star Wars to get it funded.
69 major earthquakes that hit the Pacific's Ring of Fire in just around a 48-hour time span, sparking fears that the big one is about to hit California. And this all started back on the 21st, 22nd of August, with certain heavy earthquakes occurring in Asian countries in recent weeks, followed by other quakes in Venezuela, all starting to show a pattern as if these earthquakes are slowly moving towards the East Coast and possibly even to Yellowstone.
And bam. Alright. This is where we're seeing all this Haarp. This is where that 8.2 is. Alright. And Japan is right here. Look at all those earthquakes. Alright. This is proof right here that Haarp hit Typhoon Sakura. Hit Typhoon right here. If I can zoom out. Look at this. That's Japan. Sakura is right up here. And so is Cimarron. Look at that. Look at all those earthquakes. And that's where the 8.2 earthquake was too. Alright. Look down here. Just that stream of line. 8.2 all the way at the bottom by Tonga and the Fiji. Up north where Cimarron is 6.3, 7.4, 5.5.
Yet another piece of footage has come to light of more of these strange, very sharp, square-shaped clouds that are starting to pop up all over the globe. And so this new video was posted to the YouTube channel AR Studios, where in the description he writes, quote, "Noticing strange skies lately, I've started to document the roll clouds and the strange phenomena that I've noticed here in Richmond, Virginia skies. Being that this is my hometown, I spent most of my life here. It's easy to notice the changes in the world around me." So here is that video he posted. The link to this I will put down below.
In all my years, I've never seen a cloud with a square edge on it. But there's one right there. And I bullshit you not. That is... yeah. Yeah, that is just nuts. Okay.
Alright, so as you can see, it doesn't look like your typical cloud, because we've been led to believe that clouds are these sort of free-floating abstract things, and they do not create precise geometric shapes. And while there are some really strange and almost artificial-looking shapes that have been documented in the past that are created by certain kinds of clouds, whether it be roll clouds or lenticular clouds, which are the clouds that take some shapes that look very similar to flying saucers and other UFO shapes. But again, in those cases, you can still tell that they're clouds. They have a very circular type shape, nothing like we are seeing with these flat, in many cases, razor sharp, straight edged, square clouds. And I'm showing you some different photos here that have made their way online over the years, some recent, some more in the past, some snapped from down here on the ground, others snapped from up in a plane, and some even snapped from up in space looking down on the Earth. As you're seeing in this photograph here, taken from aboard the International Space Station, we see the Earth in the background here. We see the, the typical normal cloud cover, what you would expect. But then right here in the center, we see something that just sticks out. It doesn't look like it fits. And it's almost a perfect square-cut cloud. And this is not just a cloud. This is a massive cloud system that is taking this shape. This isn't just some rogue cloud, maybe as big as a football field that you're recording from the ground. This cloud here, with this, extremely sharp edge, right angles, is potentially hundreds upon hundreds of miles in length. Here we have yet another one of these clouds, again taken from an app you can use online that lets you look at the weather systems in real time. And here once again we see yet another one of these square-shaped clouds, only at least in this image you'll notice these very strange lines running through the cloud, at least on the edge here, just one next to the other, almost perfectly spaced apart, almost like you would think of a contrail coming from a plane, as if this was created by a plane going back and forth. And once again, while looking at the world view tool here, we have some other very anomalous sort of square-shaped clouds or indentations found around the globe. Here is one where it appears almost more like an indentation than the cloud itself. It's almost like something has punched a hole high up in the atmosphere into this massive cloud front, creating this square indentation. Lastly, here is one more from this weather cam, where we don't really see a cloud, but yet another sort of indentation with this straight line, which makes a hard left turn, a very sharp corner here, cutting into this massive cloud front. It looks like we may have another corner and long line over here to the left. And yeah, very similar to the other images we've been showing. And again, these things have been seen from space, from planes, as you're seeing once again here. And some of these are just unbelievably sharp, which would lead even the most rational people to think something is not right here. It almost seems as if these were created somehow, because how does this happen? I understand maybe it happening once or twice due to some freak occurrence, but this is happening over and over and over.
There's something called a waterphone megabase. This is an inharmonic instrument. This is what creates the sounds you'll hear in most horror films. This is why these sounds are freaking people out, because these sounds are not pleasant at all. That's why they're used in scary movies. And this waterphone megabase has really two main components: water and a metal. Now stay with me because I'm going somewhere with this. These sounds that people are hearing, you've heard them somewhere else, and I'm not talking about in the movies. Think about the oven in your home. What sound does it make when you turn it on? If you listen closely, you can hear a popping or banging sound. That is the sound of metal heating up and expanding rapidly. Now that you have hot metal, what sound do you think it makes when you cool it down rapidly? Understand, folks, that unless you have these sounds recorded, You cannot make these sounds with anything else other than metal, because only metal makes that sound. That's why wood makes a certain sound. Even a flute made from plastic gives off a different sound than a flute made from wood or metal. They resonate at different frequencies. This is probably why people are relating these sounds to trumpets, because it sounds like air blowing through metal. People know thunder when they hear it. They know what an aircraft sounds like when they hear it. And people know when the sound is coming from the earth and when it is coming from an object. And all of the audio engineers I've talked to agree that you need something very large to make that type of sound and have it resonate throughout entire neighborhoods to the point of causing mild quakes or tremors. Now, some of the possibilities are Haarp, maybe even CERN, Project Bluebeam, of course. Some say they can even do this using specialized satellites. You could say aliens, but I'm going to give aliens a break on this one. People always blame aliens for everything. Weird. God damn it, I'm not going to blame them for this. It's too easy. Now, there are some scientific explanations or theories for these strange sounds, but they tend to ignore logic. And if you hear any of them say that it's normal, they are lying to you. It's not normal. Otherwise, we would be hearing it and have been hearing it normally. We know now that many of these videos of evidence of strange noises are a hoax, fake. Then, there is a percentage that are real, but the source of the sound can be identified. And then there always remains that small percentage that cannot be explained. They are real. Maybe the powers that be are testing out the new soundtrack for their upcoming alien invasion hoax. Because you can't have Project Bluebeam projecting holograms in the sky without audio, right?
We have yet again another instance of these mysterious phantom booms that we have on Secure Team been documenting for the past almost 2 years now, case by case, happening by happening, and we are still no closer to the truth of where these massive, loud, ground-shaking sounds are coming from. People need to act to protect themselves rather than ignoring what's happening. So, it seems like there's a lot of activity happening around the Earth and down in the Earth as we speak, guys, that may just be an early warning to things that could come on both the west and east coasts of the United States, and that we should be prepared, which I agree.
The National Solar Observatory in southern New Mexico is closed, and no one seems to know why. Aura, the company that co-manages the observatory in the town of Sunspot, along with NMSU, did not give a reason for it. Local authorities say they were told last week it was closing temporarily for safety reasons, but don't know much more. People who live in nearby Cloudcroft are just as puzzled.
Nothing really happens up here very much, and since nobody knows, it could be almost anything.
There's currently a working telescope at the observatory where the university conducts research.
The Blue Beam Project will pretend to be the universal fulfillment of the prophecies of old, as major an event as that which took place 2,000 years ago. This one God will in fact function as the Antichrist, who will explain that the various scriptures have been misunderstood, that the religious of old are responsible for turning brother against brother, nation against nation, that the religions of the world must be abolished to make way for the golden age, new age, of the one world religion, representing the one God they see before them. Naturally, this superbly staged, full-scale production will result in social and religious disorder on a massive scale.
What I want to talk about today relates to a satellite that has been detected in space that is displaying, quote, very abnormal behavior and is actually raising alarm in the United States. And apparently it's a Russian satellite. According to the report here, a mysterious satellite displaying very abnormal behavior has raised alarm in the U.S., according to a State Department official. We don't know for certain what it is, and there is no way to verify it, said Assistant Secretary Yalim Poblet at a conference in Switzerland on August 14th. She voiced fears that it was impossible to say if the object may be some sort of weapon apparatus. Now, Russia has dismissed the comments as, quote, unfounded, slanderous, and based on suspicions. The satellite in question was launched in October of last year. And so here's what they're saying about this satellite, as they're calling it. The satellite's behavior on orbit was inconsistent with anything seen before from on-orbit inspection or space situational awareness capabilities, including other Russian inspection satellite activities. The intentions with respect to this satellite are unclear and are obviously a very troubling development, citing that Russia's Space Force is possibly adopting new prototypes and technology to basically do some pretty nasty stuff. And as reported here, the U.S. has very, quote, serious concerns that this satellite may hold some sort of anti-satellite technology, as in something that would be able to take down other satellites. So, first of all, I have a theory about what this very well could be, and they don't even talk about it in this report here, but we featured it and spoke about it on the channel, and we'll get to that in just a second. But, obviously, this satellite could have some sort of technology having to do with lasers or microwaves, which could be used to stop another satellite from working or disable it permanently. But what it could also be, and we've posted a few different videos about this, it relates to the growing list of reports and incidents where people are suddenly feeling as if they are being hit by some sort of energy wave or pulse that disrupts their brain. It causes them to lose their vision momentarily, their speech, causes them headaches. And we reported on this when it happened to over 20 U.S. consulate workers. And it recently happened again in China, where 2 more people began experiencing this sort of sonic infiltration. Whether you want to call it a sonic wave, a sonic pulse, some sort of energy, I guess would be the best way to describe it. Some sort of energy is hitting people in various different parts of the world. And apparently we have no idea where it's coming from, what's causing it, and it's some pretty scary stuff. So, could this have something to do with this mystery satellite, again, exhibiting, quote, abnormal behavior, unlike any other satellite we've seen before? And here's an even bigger theory. Is it even one of our satellites? Are they just saying that this satellite belongs to another country? Could it be something else that's acting strange up there? And that this whole story about it being from another country is just the cover. Now, obviously, we don't have proof of that, but we do have evidence that there are indeed mysterious and unknown things out in space, some of them orbiting our planet. And this has been documented throughout the years. There are things up there that are not ours. Things that may orbit like a satellite, but that do other things that satellites don't do, like quickly change their speed or velocity or direction. And so could this be one of those objects? Obviously, I don't know, but there seems to be a lot going on with space right now. They're wanting to create this space force. People are being hit by these strange waves. Now we have these mystery satellites up there doing strange things.
Good morning. Look at those beautiful skies. Isn't it just a beautiful day? Holy shit, look around. I'm surprised we're even still able to breathe on this planet. It's all about light, loving, and living, but we are failing as guardians of this planet. We are failing. This is not how Mother Earth wants her skies to look. This stuff is choking the people down, choking the animals down. Why do you think all these rates of autism and Alzheimer's and all this bullshit is at an all-time high? This stuff is coming down into our lungs, coming down into our soil, into our food, into our body. What is it? Barium and strontium and bullshit. Aluminum, barium, strontium, all this stuff, man. Ask yourself, why? Why are they doing it? Why are they spraying this stuff? We're here for a bigger purpose. It's absolutely insane. This planet is going through so much bullshit, and though we're distracted by the latest video game, we're distracted by the latest movie, the latest celebrity gossip, the latest politician, the latest bullshit. Ask yourself, why are they doing this? Why are they pouring this stuff in the sky? There is a huge game being played here on planet Earth, and the distractions right now are at an all-time high. Why are they at an all-time high? Because the consciousness is increasing at an all-time high. They need more bullshit to pump us, to keep our mind distracted, to distract us from the fact that we are waking up to our infinite selves. And more of us are waking up every day. And that's why this is the amazing, one of the funnest times to be alive on planet Earth. I'm out drinking my lemon water, getting my morning walk on, and I just got bombarded with bullshit, man. Why are they doing it? 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 Why are they
5G, the next generation of wireless. It will be able to handle 1,000 times more traffic than today's networks, and it'll be up to 10 times faster than 4G LTE. Just imagine downloading an HD movie in under a second, and then let your imagination run wild. 5G will be the foundation for virtual reality, autonomous driving, the Internet of Things, and stuff we can't even yet imagine. But what exactly is a 5G network?
5G. So right now we're at a lower frequency, like 1 to 3 gigahertz. This is now 24 to 90 gigahertz. Just to put that in perspective, 90 gigahertz is 90 billion electromagnetic waves per second.
90 gigahertz is 90 billion electromagnetic waves per second.
Hitting and going through your cells every second. That is far from natural. Your heart has a circuit, has electricity to it. Your brain has electricity to it. It's about 8 to 10 hertz. This is billions of times more than what's natural. And 5G is being forced on us. In California, SB 649 is going to make it so they can put one of these transmitters in front of your house. And 5G doesn't travel very well because it's very dense. And so they have to put a transmitter about every 2 to 10 homes. And they're not going to ask you about it. They're just going to put it in front of you, exempt from any health, safety, or environmental review.
On streetlights.
On streetlights, on poles in front of your house, on any kind of fixture that can get what they want. And it's not going to be your choice. There's not going to be any consent. And I got to tell you, it's not a very Republican thing to do. It's not a very American thing to do. And these bills are stripping away your constitutional rights to protect yourself and your families. But this goes way back. The 1996 Telecommunications Act that was passed in 1996 by Bill Clinton.
This law is truly revolutionary legislation that will bring the future to our doorstep. In the State of the Union just a few days ago, I asked the Congress to pass this law, and they did with remarkable speed and dispatch.
Had Section 704 that banned by law looking at health and safety when they put cell towers in. This is how they built out the whole network. They've known about health effects for decades.
This is Orwellian.
Absolutely. It's a concerted, concentrated effort to hide wireless radiation health effects, and it's absolutely time it stops. 5G is we're looking at a worst case scenario. High frequency, high intensity wireless in front of your home in close proximity continuously. What's interesting is the Army, and people should look this up, look up the active denial system.
DoD's active denial technology and future solid-state active denial technology system will produce a focused beam of directed energy to provide our troops a non-lethal option to stop, deter, and turn back suspicious individuals.
That was a bit warm, but... Oh, I got it. That is warm.
The active denial system. The military is using these frequencies at 95 gigahertz, and remember, they're talking about 24 to 90 gigahertz for this, as a biological weapon for crowd control. So on the one hand, the FCC is saying it's completely harmless. On the other hand, the military is using it as a biological weapon. Somebody's lying. And what's interesting for your audience to look at is their own insurance policy. Look at your homeowner's insurance. Look in the back under general exclusions. You'll see asbestos isn't covered by insurance. Earthquakes aren't covered by insurance. Fires aren't covered by some insurance. And then you'll see electromagnetic radiation or electromagnetic waves, the kind of emitted from wireless technology. So the industry, the insurance industry that is given the mandate to assess risk has assessed it as a high-risk agent and says they won't cover biological effects from wireless radiation, yet they're putting the exact same thing near your home, next to your head, in your schools, and it's absolutely wrong. It's time we do something. The industry is now pushing it with Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, and he's now said, I'm going to speed up the siting of these small cell transmitters. He's met with AT&T and Verizon and all those AT&T invested $16 million in lobbying last year. We don't have the kind of resources to get a meeting. One of the reasons I came to meet with you was to say to you, please help me get a meeting with President Trump. I believe he has the guts and the courage, and he cares enough about the average person to say no to these transmitters and say yes to making this technology safer.
If we can get the word out to him.
If we could meet with him.
And we're gonna just step in here very briefly because it's really intense in here. So this is cell phone towers.
Look at that. It's unbelievable.
this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first. First.
up! Look up, people! Look up! If it's not about getting reconnected, then it's a distraction. We're here for a reason. Peace.